Hi, welcome to this Corbettmaths video. In this video, we're going to look at the GCSE Further Maths topic of integration, and we're going to look at how to integrate whenever there's fractions involved. Now, with GCSE Further Maths, the powers are always going to be integers, so the fractions are going to be the coefficients, the numbers at the front, okay? So we're going to be dealing with integration such as this, so finding the integral of a half x to the power of 8 with respect to x. So where we've got this fraction here and how to deal with that. Now in our last video, we looked at our introduction to integration. So we looked at how to integrate things like this. So if we were to integrate 8x cubed with respect to x. And we said, well, if we wanted to integrate this, we would increase the power by 1. So it'd be equal to x to the power of 4 because we're going to increase the power by 1. And then we're going to divide by the new power. So we had 8, but we're going to divide it by the new power, and 8 divided by 4 is equal to 2. So it'll be 2x to the power of 4. And then we need to put our constant of integration, our plus c, on the end. So if we're asked to integrate 8x cubed with respect to x, the answer would be 2x to the power of 4 plus c. So we're going to use the same approach whenever we've got fractions involved, but it's just that we need to remember that we're going to be dividing the fractions by the new power. And that's it. Now let's have a look at examples like this. So we've been asked to find the integral of a half x to the power of 8 with respect to x. Okay, so if I wanted to integrate this, the first thing I would do is I would increase the power of x by 1. So I'd write x to the power of 9. So I just increase the power by 1. So it's gone from 8 to 9. And then we're going to divide what's in front of the x by the new power. So we're going to divide this by 9. So we're going to do a half divided by 9. Okay, so let's work out a half divided by 9. So we've got a half. We're going to divide it by 9. Remember, 9 is the same as 9 over 1, 9 wholes. And if we're dividing by a fraction, we can multiply by its reciprocal. So instead of doing a half divided by 9 over 1, we're going to do a half times 1 over 9, the reciprocal. And 1 times 1 will be equal to 1. And 2 times 9 is equal to 18. So if you take a half and you divide it by 9, you get that's equal to 1/18. So that would be equal to 1/18. So we've got this equal to, if we've been asked to integrate a half x to the power of 8 with respect to x, we'd get 1/18 x to the power of 9, but then we obviously need to put our plus c, our constant of integration, on the end, because there may have been a number that whenever we differentiated has disappeared, so we need to remember that plus c on the end. So if we're asked to integrate a half x to the power of 8 with respect to x, this would be our answer. And I just want to mention at this point that you may actually encounter this type of question in a slightly different format. So rather than saying a half times x to the power of 8 dx, you may encounter it as find the integral of x to the power of 8 over 2 dx. So here we've got find the integral of x to the power of 8 divided by 2 dx. Now remember that dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by half. So if I had this and I was asked to integrate this, the first thing I would do is I would say, well, instead of dividing by 2, it's the same as multiplying by half. So I would just put the half in front of the x to the power of 8 dx, and then I would integrate it. So if you ever encounter it where the x term's on the numerator, it can be actually quite useful to actually bring the fraction out in front that you're timesing it by. So if you're dividing by 2, it's the same as multiplying by half, so you can just bring that fraction in front. Half times x to the power of 8 is the same as x to the power of 8 divided by 2. So I just sort of mentioned that you may encounter it like this, and actually you can just rewrite it in that format. Okay, let's have a look at our next example. So our next question, we've been asked to integrate 6/7 x cubed with respect to x. So if I wanted to do that, the first thing I would do is increase the power of x by 1. So instead of it being x cubed, it would be now x to the power of 4. Then what we're going to do is we're going to divide by the new power. Now the GCSE Further Maths exam is a calculator paper, so we can actually do 6/7 divided by 4 on our calculator. So if we do 6/7 divided by 4 in the calculator, so if we type that in, we get an answer of 3/14. So 3/14. And just to recap why that's the case, if you've got 6/7 and you divide it by 4 wholes, or 4 over 1, that'll be the same as 6/7 multiplied by a quarter. 6 times 1 is equal to 6, 7 times 4 is equal to 28, and then you can cancel that down to be 3/14. But just remember that the GCSE Further Maths is a calculator paper, so you can just do 6/7 divided by 4 in your calculator. Okay, so we've increased the power of x by 1, and then we've taken the 6/7 and divided it by the new power, and that's given us an answer of 3/14. And then remember our plus c on the end. So that's it. So if we were asked to integrate 6/7 x cubed with respect to x, the answer would be 3/14 x to the power of 4 plus c. And that's it. And also just to point out that if you had encountered a question such as this, where you've got 6x cubed over 7 with respect to x, if you're asked to integrate 6x cubed over 7 with respect to x, that is actually the same question, because actually you can split this up and you can actually write it as the integral of 6/7 multiplied by x cubed with respect to x. If you ever notice that x cubed is on the numerator, you can just bring it beside the fraction, so you can actually just write 6/7 times x cubed rather than 6x cubed over 7, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. So this time we've been asked to integrate 4/5 x plus 3 with respect to x. So here we're going to be integrating each of these separately. We're going to integrate the 4/5 x, and we're also going to integrate the 3. So let's start off by integrating the 4/5 x. So we've got 4/5 x. We're going to increase the power by 1. So the power here is 1. So whenever you increase it by 1, you're going to get squared. So that'll be x squared, just increasing the power of x by 1. Then we're going to divide by the new power. So we're going to take the 4/5 and we're going to divide it by 2. Now 4/5 divided by 2 is equal to 2/5. I know that one straight away, because if you do 4/5 divided by 2, you get 2/5. Alternatively, you can take your 4/5 and divide it by 2 on your calculator, and you get that's equal to 2/5 as well. Okay, so we've integrated the first term. If we integrate 4/5 x, we get 2/5 x squared plus. Now we need to integrate 3. So if you integrate a number such as 3, well, you're just then going to put an x beside it. So it's going to be 3x. So we're just integrating 3 and you get 3x. And then obviously we need the constant of integration, so we need to put the plus c on the end. And that's it. So we've integrated 4/5 x plus 3, and the answer is 2/5 x squared plus 3x plus c. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question. Okay, so this time we've been asked to integrate 6/7 x squared minus 1/2 x minus 1 with respect to x. So we're going to integrate each of these separately. So let's start off with the first term. So we're going to increase the power of x by 1, so that'll be x cubed. And then we're going to divide by the new power. So we're going to take the 6/7 and we're going to divide that by 3. Now if you've got 6/7 and you divide it by 3, okay, that's equal to 2/7, because if you get 6/7 and you share them out equally between 3 people, you get 2/7 each. Alternatively, you can do 6/7 divided by 3 on your calculator, and you get that's equal to 2/7. So we've got 2/7 x cubed. Now we've then got minus 1/2 x, so we now need to integrate minus 1/2 x. So we're going to increase the power of x by 1. So here the power is 1. When you increase it by 1, you're going to get squared, so that'll be x squared. And then you're going to divide by the new power. So we've got here minus 1/2, and we're going to divide it by 2, because we're dividing by that new power, so we're going to divide it by 2. Now minus 1/2 divided by 2 would be minus 1/4, so that's going to be minus 1/4 x squared. Or remember, to calculate a question, so you can just type in that minus 1/2 and then divide it by 2, and you get that's equal to minus 1/4. So it's going to be minus 1/4 x squared. Okay, so we've integrated the first two terms. Now we need to integrate this next one, the minus 1. And whenever you integrate minus 1, you're going to introduce the power of x, so it'll be minus 1x. Now we tend not to write minus 1x, we'll just write minus x. And then finally, we need to remember the constant of integration, so we need to put our plus c on the end. And that's it. So if we were asked to integrate 6/7 x squared minus 1/2 x minus 1, the answer would be 2/7 x cubed minus 1/4 x squared minus x plus c. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question. So our next question, we've been asked to integrate 3/4 x cubed plus 1/8 x squared. So what we're going to do is we're going to integrate each of the terms separately. So let's start off with the first term. We're going to increase the power of x by 1, so it'll be x to the power of 4. And then we're going to divide by the new power, so we're going to take the 3/4 and divide it by 4. And if you do 3/4 divided by 4, you should get that equal to 3/16. Remember, it's a calculator question, so you can just do it on your calculator. 3/4 divided by 4, and you get that's equal to 3/16. So we get that's equal to 3/16 x to the power of 4. And then we're then going to integrate this. So we're going to increase the power of x by 1. So it's going to be equal to x cubed, because it was x squared. So it's now going to be x cubed. We're increasing the power of x by 1. And then we're going to divide by the new power. So we're going to take the 1/8 and we're going to divide it by 3. And 1/8 divided by 3 on your calculator, if you wanted to, is equal to 1/24. Or you could just work it out. That's equal to 1/24. So it's equal to 1/24 times x cubed. And then remember our constant of integration, so there'll be plus c. And that's it. And that's our answer. So if we were asked to integrate 3/4 x cubed plus 1/8 x squared, our answer would be 3/16 x to the power of 4 plus 1/24 x cubed plus c. And that's it. So last question, we've been asked to find the integral of 12/5 x to the power of 5 minus 4x squared plus x to the power of -2. And we've been asked to integrate that with respect to x. Okay, so we're going to integrate each of these terms separately. So let's start off with the first term. So we're going to increase the power of x by 1. So instead of being x to the power of 5, it's now going to be x to the power of 6. And then we had 12/5. We're going to divide it by the new power. So we're going to take our 12/5 and divide it by 6. And 12/5 divided by 6 would be equal to 2/5. So that'd be 2/5. Alternatively, you could get your calculator and do 12/5 divided by 6 on your calculator, and you get that's equal to 2/5. So we've integrated our first term. Now let's integrate our next term. So we had minus 4x squared. So we're going to increase the power of x by 1, so it'll be x cubed now. And then we're going to divide by our new power. So we had minus 4, we're going to divide it by 3, so we're going to have minus 4/3. So we just divided it by 3. Again, if you wanted to, you could do 4 divided by 3 in your calculator, and you get that's equal to 4/3. But I've just written it as 4/3 because we're just dividing it by 3. And then finally, we've got plus x to the power of negative 2. So we need to integrate x to the power of negative 2. So we're going to increase the power of x by 1. So it'll be x to the power of negative 1. Because if you're at negative 2 and you go up 1, you get to negative 1. And then we're going to divide by the new power. Now here, the number in front of this is a 1. We've got 1 here. And we're going to divide it by the new power. So we're going to take our 1 and we're going to divide it by negative 1. And 1 divided by negative 1 is equal to negative 1. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a minus sign. I'm not going to put the 1 because if I've got minus 1 x to the power of negative 1, it's the same as minus x to the power of negative 1. So I'm just putting the minus sign there. And then obviously we need our plus c on the end. And that's it. And that's it. So in this video, we've looked at the GCSE Further Maths topic of integration. And we've looked at how to deal with integration questions that involve fractions. And remember, for GCSE Further Maths, the powers of x will always be integers. So powers such as 7 or 10 or 2 or minus 5 and things like that. So that means the fractions will be the coefficients. So that's it. So in our previous video, we looked at an introduction to integration. In this video, we've looked at integration whenever we've got fractions involved. In our next video, we're going to look at integration whenever we've got to do some rearranging before we integrate. And that's it. So I hope you found this video useful. And if you have found it useful, please like it and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.